Hello, this is the 2021 candidate for governor of Virginia. My name is Merle Rutledge, and yes, I'm running for the Republican nomination, part of that new Republican attitude. Oh, hell yeah. Now, I'm sitting back looking at Joe Biden's stupid speech, and then, I'm paying attention to what my opponents is doing, and I'm just like, wow, it's not hard to make people look like fools, to be honest with you. It really isn't. You can almost say anything and the people just go for it. And I'm I'm kind of glad that now people are paying more and more attention to how our government is ran. One of the great things about President Trump's presidency, this was a time period where all eyes was on the swamps, whether it's in DC, whether it's in Richmond, whether it's wherever it's at. You're paying attention more than ever right now. And I said to myself, I'm like, yo, this is kind of crazy though, how 2020 went. I'm like, we had riots, we had COVID, um, we have massive unemployment. We have over 800 businesses being closed per week. We have record levels of families facing eviction, um, and people just trying to survive. And it's getting worse and worse. And it's getting closer to homes that thought hopefully it wouldn't get that far. And I'm trying to tell people sooner than later, the truth is just the truth. No matter how much somebody puts smoke and mirrors around it, it's still going to be the truth. What the DNC is doing, and me, I think 5 steps ahead of no matter what. And the DNC is paying full attention, not only to 2021 races, but really for 2024. The reason why they needed President Trump's last year to be explosive, the massive levels of any kind of chaos, whether it was COVID, whether it was the riots, whatever have you, because he had a great economy. And it's hard to defeat any president with a great economy. So if you notice the patterns of when Democrats take office, this is the same exact pattern, just different crisis. When Barack Obama took office, he was taking office at a time period where it was almost another Great Depression. And what happened during that time period to fix things or to stabilize the economy? They had to spend trillions on trillions of dollars, massive spending, which of course bailed people out, but made it appear that he fixed the economy when in all actuality, all it did was level it out to the point where one, it was a slippery slope. Anything could tip the scales either way back to a Great Depression or just staying stable. That's what it was all about. Wasn't a greater economy or anything like that. I'm like, shoot, most citizens was recovering from debts and losses that they suffered from going in. So what's happening now with another Democrat coming in? They get all the spending bills and all the money, trillions of dollars, to basically make up for what they caused. If you notice that every time frame a Republican was in, all of a sudden the first year that a Democratic elected president, the first year he gives a bunch of money to spend wherever you want. And who does that benefit? The DNC and their political donors and those businesses or whatever out there that they are invested in. And realistically, now they have seen from all sides of this, we need to make sure we are ready for 2024. And realistically, they have a head start. And that's because right now, the Republican Party, it's a lot of bad blood internally. And we have to allow this bad blood to work its own way out because it's either we going to win for 2021 and put aside our bullshit, or we are guaranteed that Democrats is going to win, because this is part of the same strategy. You kill the economy while a Republican is in office, put the blame on them. So when 2024 comes up, what are they going to talk about? The last year of President Trump's presidency. They're not going to talk about the years where the country was doing fine. They're going to talk about, that's why there is no incentive for them to bail out anybody or pass a COVID relief bill while President Trump is still president, which is shameful because it's millions on millions of people all out there that need relief now. But at this time period, they don't want to do anything that is perceived to help President Trump's last year in office during this time period. Right now, this is going to be used for 2024 for Democrats to talk about President Trump's last year in office. That's why they don't care about riots. They don't care about COVID. They don't care about the American people. Nothing. You may not see relief until way after January into February or March. Now, which is problematic for those who voted for Biden and Harris, because to y'all thought the relief or him getting elected was going to bail people out. Well, that's the thing about the DNC. They use people until they get what they want and then ignore you until it's election time again. Then you start seeing them out there trying to get your vote, and they tell you the same thing. We're going to make sure we do something for you. Well, it's hard to do something for anybody, and they're not taking these groups' calls who, quote unquote, got Biden elected. They are not making no promises to any community or any group that so-called did all the dirty work, and now they don't know them. And you know what's funny about MSNBC and CNN? Even going into 2024, they talked about Black Lives Matter, Antifa, all these different groups and all this other stuff. And they was all on TV promoting it, sports channels promoting it, everywhere. You see BLM all over the place, right? But it's funny, though, from Don Lemon and the rest of them, all of a sudden that these groups are now asking Biden and Kamala Harris to fulfill some promises or to have a meeting to discuss certain things. You don't see Don Lemon, CNN, and MSNBC talking about it, right? You know why? Because at that time period, BLM was doing their dirty work. It's not favorable right now for them to do coverage on Biden and Harris, ignoring what they consider representative of the Black community. But pay attention to this. They had all the coverage on the riots, on COVID, all these different things, and all of this came about based off of trying to get Trump out of office. And I'm like, how far can the liberal media and the rest go to show their true hand in this? And people are not paying attention to it because they're waiting too late. And right now, I just rather give people the truth. It ain't really hard to understand what's going on right now. They use low-income groups and middle class and say, we're going to do whatever, empty promises, always lies. That's what politicians are, to get elected. And then afterwards, we're going to push y'all to the side until you get the point that we really didn't want your help other than getting elected. That's why I said from both parties, this is the number one problem we really have here as private citizens with both parties. None of them earned your vote. None. Not this election cycle. Nobody earned your vote. But we can damn sure see the DNC definitely used the hell out of people. Because when they wanted y'all to be burning down buildings and destroying, people's lives and basically causing all this chaos, the Democrats was eating it up. But the second that it's turned about where y'all are asking them for relief, all of a sudden nothing is being covered. I'm like, you can barely even see an article. You can even hear about audio of Joe Biden talking to civil rights leaders. All these people who have their hands out right now, like, we did our part. So what are we going to get out of it? That's why I said, you know what? The biggest problem with these groups and with these communities and vice versa, you got to wake up, period. I'm sorry. You're going to have to start saying to yourself, you're going to have to do something for our vote. You're going to have to give us some promises. When you have bad negotiators or bad leaders, that's exactly why liberal cities are ran into the dumpster, period. The cesspools is like the worst of the worst, because these so-called leaders that's representing these communities are basically bad negotiators, period. What leader or what parent would come back to tell their child before they even sign off on buying a car and there's a contract? They say, look over the paperwork. And then they say, okay, make sure this is guaranteed in it. Make sure that warranty is extended. They'll let you know how you get played. And it seems like we had these leaders just go up there and vice versa. And I'm sitting back because I'm like, I can already tell bad leadership and a bad way of handling business, because you didn't get nothing in writing. And I brought this up before. But with President Trump, on the other hand, he was working with Ice Cube about a platinum plan, all these different things that the Black community needed. When Obama wasn't freeing prisoners, President Trump was freeing the same prisoners that was left to rot under his term. The economy great, unemployment down, small businesses growing, able to hire more people who want to be entrepreneurs, saw an economy that they could really, really, put money into and really have a career or a business in which they own that looked like it's going to be profitable. Right now, the small businesses that was out there that was looking to start building wealth for their families is like going down into the tubes. And the sad thing about it is we had a president that was fighting to prevent all of this, while we had a candidate, Biden and Harris, that was promoting the destruction. And when I saw all these different groups, like when they was announcing the endorsement of Joe Biden, whether it was sexual assault groups with BLM and all them other stuff, and with allegations of misconduct with women and staff members from Biden, from those who knew Biden or whatever, they all turned it back and was just like, I don't believe her, and we endorsed Joe Biden. Like I said, we got to stop with these social justice issues putting politics into it, period. Because once you put politics into it, now it's not a social justice issue. It's only what benefits a particular party at that point. And what ends up happening is those leaders in those groups or those executive members and whatever, it's about the money to them. It ain't about improving your community or whatever. If they don't get nothing from it, you think they really doing this for free? So when I look at this whole thing, we need to all wake up to what is really going on with our lives. Forget whether you're Republican, Democrat, or independent. You need to start holding these damn politicians, accountable, whether they're Republican or Democrat. I'm going to be honest with you, because we have failed in getting things in writing. I don't care what race you are or whatever it may be. I'm like, it continues to be these keywords. Things will get better. I support, or whatever it may be. There's nothing guaranteed in those statements. There's nothing concrete. And that's the biggest problem that I have with the communities all over the place that continue to get brainwashed by political parties and just by somebody's last name. I'm like, how many different time frames can you vote for the same thing and continue to get the same results, and you still can't even say what this person do? That's the problem. At least with President Trump, we knew what he would do. With Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and stuff like that, we are seeing what they really was all about. But the fact of the matter is, how in the world did you have those speaking for any community not getting something in writing saying this is going to be done, and if not, there will be consequences? This is a lot of buyer's remorse. And as far as the DNC, they just like, we just worry about 2024, and we are come back to y'all, when we need to get elected, and we won't make any promises or guarantees to y'all. We just gonna do what we've been doing. If I've been playing y'all for so long, I'm gonna continue to play. And that's how these politicians work. And I've been around the swamp long enough, and I can tell you off the break, there's no such thing as fooling me. I can say that part. And the thing is, we have to wake up, no matter whether you're black, white, Puerto Rican, or whatever, and start saying to these stupid politicians out here from both parties. Because honestly, I told people, I'm not the Republican employee of the month. We have enough bullshit in our party, trust me. And I plan on cleaning the house any kind of way I deem fit. But still, at the same time, this is about the education about what your vote means, what really matters to you right now. And right now, it matters to you how you are going to survive and live day after day. Those politicians don't have that problem because they create their own future. You, on the other hand, is the casualties that come from it. So if I'm really getting hard on certain sides and vice versa, it's my way of saying wake up. Really. There is no such thing as any political party having your vote. It needs to be a such thing as, no, you're going to earn my vote. And I need to start seeing stuff in writing, because I can't trust Al Sharpton to negotiate with y'all anymore. I can't trust BLM to negotiate. I can't trust, the Patriots Party or whatever it may be, because they keep coming back with the same bullshit and still coming back to Richmond and DC with the same swamp and the same trash. And that's what they all are. It's about time that we start paying attention more than ever about who we decide to represent us. And that's exactly what Virginia and DC needs. Needs people outside the establishment, because right now you see establishment politics right now, because that's exactly the playbook that they are going by. But I hope by the time frame 2021 gets here, y'all start waking up so y'all don't have this mistake happen in 2024. Because we dealing with bullshit right now with Biden. And realistically, that's exactly what happens when you're asleep at the wheel and you're allowing other people to speak for you that don't represent you. I'm sorry. These same people speaking for you only show up when there's a funeral. And they always show up when it's time to make sure there's payment for it. But where are they at when you're living? You can show up to a funeral. You can show up to a graduation. You can show up to vote. You can show up to hold these politicians accountable. You can show up to point blame. Now it's time to show up and hold people accountable, because our future depends on this, regardless of which party, regardless of which candidate. We need the best of the best, and we need better negotiators, and we need people unafraid and not spending more time on their pockets instead of helping the Virginia American people. That needs to happen sooner than later, because we can't afford another year, let alone some of y'all can't even afford a few more days. The DNC got away with this one, and that's the problem. And guess what? We are going to be paying for it with our children's generations suffering for the price tag that we failed to make sure we couldn't afford. And we can't afford it now. It is what it is. I guess Michelle Obama said it better than anybody. It is what it is. But guess what? Your bills ain't going to get paid because it is what it is. Your promises are not going to be kept because it is what it is. I'm like, empathy. You think empathy would be one of the priorities right now? And ain't no empathy in politics. There's only but those who are leaders and the others who are failures. The empathy could kiss my ass at this point. Right now, we don't need time for people to kiss ass. We need for people to fight back. If you thought the Republican Party was against you, nah, we are for you. Because right now, when you see black, white, blue, yellow out there marching right now, they're doing it for the America that they know. They're doing for the normal in America, not this new norm. But they're also trying to do this to wake people up to say, you deserve better. You don't need to have worse because you didn't know better. So for now on, one of the commitments that we have to make, no matter who you are, we need to make sure we hold people accountable. We need to make sure that we don't go by empty promises. And we need to make sure you don't have others speaking for you when you damn sure should be speaking up for yourself, because others don't have the problems that you may have. And you're going to see who your leaders are, because they're going to be committed to action before they ever get elected, not after they get elected and you have to guess and figure it out. That's what I'm not about. I'm about actions and doing exactly what I say I'm going to do. That's proven. But at the same time frame, America has to expect more out of anybody, not just talk. It has to be action. But y'all have a great day. I just wanted to come on for a little bit, just to have some, words with y'all, because I'm taking this serious. Trust me. I'm paying attention to everybody. I already understand who my enemies are. And I understand who my friends are. And my friends are the American people, not these politicians, which are my enemy. I'll stand with you. And you have a great night. God bless you. And God bless America. I'm Merle Rutledge, the 2021 candidate for governor of Virginia for the Republican nomination, and never will run independent. Thank you.